gonna do. I'm calling it to order the meeting for Tuesday, February 27th, 2024, Commission of City Plan. And I guess we should do a roll call.
Yeah.
Dean's here, I'm here, Tracy Burdo. Who else we got?
Ella's there, right? I don't see
Ella. Yeah, Ella's on the list there.
Oh, okay, I see it. Ella,
And Tracy did get sworn in.
she's sworn in.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got a full house then. So we have a quorum.
We want to welcome Tracy.
Welcome, Tracy. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you guys for having me.
We got video so we can see you.
Unfortunately, my video is not working right now.
That's too bad. We like to see our people.
Do you want to seat her as a, because she's an alternate, do you want to seat her as a regular member tonight? Because we only have 4.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
We're gonna seat you as a regular member tonight, Tracy.
Okay, sounds good.
Welcome. Okay, so we've got a quorum. Can we have somebody make a motion to approve the minutes for the last meeting, January 23rd?
This is Ella. I'll make that motion.
Okay, so Ella's made the motion. Do we
I'll
have a
second it.
Second by Dean. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Does Tracy want to abstain on that one? Because you weren't here.
Yeah, she wasn't a member at that point, so.
Is that okay, Tracy?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm
Okay.
actually reading the minutes as we're talking.
Okay,
All
we'll just
right,
have
so-
you abstain.
So we have, the minutes are approved. Do we have any communications, Deanna? Or
No,
Dan?
no.
None. So the new business is site development plan proposal for site development plan 1051. 3 North C Street site plan review for a proposed residential multifamily apartment development consisting of 2 buildings with 33 units each. For a total of 66 units, the unit mix will consist of 24 2-bedroom and 42 1-bedroom units. It's the application and property of the Hills at Riverview LLC. Alex Gebby, principal. This is assessor's map 39, block 1, lot 93, zone multifamily. This had been tabled from our last meeting. I see Alex's name up there somewhere.
Brandon Hanfield is on.
And Brandon, so do one of you want to speak or both?
Yeah, happy to take it from here. For the record, Brandon Hanfield, professional engineer licensed in the state of Connecticut. With the Antic River Consultants, we have offices in Lebanon. And as you saw on the meeting tonight is Alex Gebby, the owner and applicant with the Hills at Riverview, as well as Kathy Lacombe, our project architect, to discuss the floor plans, elevation, and rendering. Before getting into the proposed development, I just want to share my screen and take a minute to briefly go through the existing site, a recent lot line revision that was approved by zoning, and then the previously approved development. I'll just show you the plan that we presented to you in 2020 to give some context of what we're changing. So as long as everybody can see my screen, the property in question in the center of the site here is 3 North C Street, outlined in orange. To the north and east is the Hills at Riverview site, which is the townhouse development that was constructed over a number of years in the mid-2000s. To the right would be Taffville Ockham Road, which is Route 97. The Setauket River would be over here. Panema Mill would be off the page to your bottom right. To the southwest are North 3rd Avenue. So North 3rd Avenue dead ends here, and then North C Street extends easterly for a couple of 100 feet. And then to the south would be the same Thames Valley Council development, and then to the north and west is vacant land owned by either the Hills at Riverview or the city of Norwich, and I believe the reservoir would be on top of the hill. What you have here is the original survey that was performed in 2019. This is what we presented to you as part of our 2020 application. So outlined in orange is the original property as it was configured. It was 6.29 acres as outlined in orange. And it was the site of a single family home that burned down. And the remaining portions of that development are really the driveway, the circular driveway, as well as a garage, and then a driveway connecting down, which eventually, or used to go out to Route 97, but got cut off by the Thames Valley development. Most of the site, as outlined in dark green, is vegetated or wooded. There are areas of previous maintenance, so in light green, as well as some previous clearing that occurred in this area here. Most of that has regrown, but no mature vegetation. This is the lot line revision plan that was approved. So to give a little context of why we needed this, and you'll see it on the next slide, we were not able to obtain easements from the hills at Riverview for access of the former development. What we were able to obtain was a lot line revision to get additional property and add it to this property that allowed our work to occur solely on it. So the original property is highlighted in green, outlined in black. That's the 6.29 acres. And then this area in orange is an additional 6.18 acres that's been transferred onto the North Sea Street from the hills at Riverview property. So 6.18 acres added to the 6.29 gives us the 12.47 that we currently have in our application. And this shows that the hills at Riverview site remained in compliant with zoning regulations with the development that's currently there. Go to the next sheet here. I'm stuck. There we go. There we go. This is the plan that we presented to you on June 25th, 2020 for the approved multifamily development. At that time, it was a townhouse development with 7 buildings. In total, we had 52 units, all of them 2 bedrooms, so 104 bedrooms total. Access was provided for phase 1 from both driveways on the north, the hills at Riverview site. So outlined in magenta were the easements that we needed. So we had 2 driveway connections to the hills. We connected to the end of North Sea Street at the northeast corner by Building D. And we connected phase 2 to the north end of North 3rd Avenue here. Phase 1 had 4 buildings and 30 units. Phase 2 had 3 buildings and 22 units. And again, all of these buildings were townhouse style with drive-under garages and living units above. So what we're proposing now, instead of townhouse, we're proposing to change to a garden style apartment, so apartment buildings. It's a similar area that we're working in. So again, the property is outlined in orange, and this is the property as currently configured with 12.47 acres. This has 2 buildings. Building A, located in the southern portion of the site, has 33 units with a mix of, to check my notes here. Let's see here. 12 2-bedroom and 21 1-bedroom units in this one. And then we have 33 units, 12 of which are 2-bedroom and 21 are 1-bedroom. So in total, that's 66 units and 90 bedrooms. So there's actually a reduction in the number of bedrooms from 104 to 90. Access is similar. So for phase 1 or building A, we have access to the east end of North Sea Street, a through road that continues all the way down to Route 97, which is new. We're proposing to connect directly to Route 97 and only have a maintenance access road to the Hills site, and that's for utilities. And then phase 2 or building B will be served similar to the last plan at the north end of North 3rd Avenue with a driveway that serves the building and the parking areas. Let's see here. Just while we're on this sheet, each phase, so here's the phase line shown in magenta, which is similar to what was originally approved. Phase 1 includes building A, as well as the 50 parking spaces for building A and recreation areas. And then phase 2, which is to the north, is building B. Again, 50 parking spaces for building B, as well as adjacent recreation areas. Zooming into the detailed site layout. Just to touch on that parking again, we have 50 parking spaces for each building located in close proximity. All of these are standard spaces. We have 2 accessible spaces for building A, and then we have 50 parking spaces, of which 2 are accessible for building B. We also have 1 loading space for each building. Pedestrian access is provided with sidewalk on the building side of each parking area. So we have sidewalks that connect to the main entrance of each building. And those sidewalks also connect to adjacent amenities, as well as all the way out along North C Street, all the way up to building B. And again, we have those sidewalks that serve both main entrances and the accessible routes. To give a little more detail on the recreation, each building has a gathering and community space that's nearby. So building 1 is to the east of the parking. There's a long rectangular area here that's above our underground drainage units. This will be vegetated and landscaped, and there will be 2 grill stations, 1 on each end where residents can grill and gather. Building B has a similar setup where across the parking we have a grill and gathering area to the east of the parking. There's 1 common recreation area between the 2 buildings in this area here. That's graded flat and gives sufficient room for a playground off the parking, as well as a fenced-in dog park. And again, those are directly accessible off of a sidewalk adjacent to the parking. And this common area is also connected by a graded natural trail. So this trail here connects building B all the way down to the common areas and all the way over to building A. The last recreation area I'll describe is to the east of building B, which is in the wooded area. So the intent of this area, it's similar to what was approved as part of the original development. It'll be selectively cleared, remove the down trees, and provide walking trails that are natural surface meandering through that get us up to this high point here, which is a natural vista. It's actually a rock outcropping. And this area here overlooks both the river and Panema Mill to the east and southeast. In total, the recreation area exceeds the minimum required for our 66 units, and we feel it will serve our residents well. The last thing I'll touch on this screen is the trash collection. We have, so the original development, we relied on curbside pickup, which is suitable for a townhouse style development. In this case, we can't rely on that. So we have 2 trash and recycling enclosures, 1 at the south end of the parking for building A, and 1 at the north end of the parking for building B. Any questions on the layout before I go into other details?
We've got a retention pond down in the bottom right there.
Yeah, it's a good segue. So this here is the grading and drainage plan. And I really just wanted to touch on what you see in magenta. I'm not magenta, blue or teal. I'm not great with colors. But the system itself has been designed to disconnect impervious surfaces as much as we could from direct discharge. So starting at the top here, again, all water currently flows in a south and easterly direction down to Route 97. Our system maintains that pattern. Building B and the parking for building B drains into this underground infiltration system, which will detain and infiltrate water before it overflows into a formal system that brings it down into the building A phase 1 area. It's actually directed again into another underground infiltration and detention area. And all these soils here are very sandy and gravelly, so we'll get good infiltration. And then what doesn't infiltrate, which is not very much, so we nearly capture all of the 10-year storm without outflow. It flows down across and then into these 2 open detention ponds on each side of the access road. So into this small one here, and then it flows into a larger one here. Neither of them are very deep. They're only a couple of feet deep, but they allow us to capture all of the runoff from the road, allow it to settle in this area, infiltrate, and again, disconnect it from direct discharge to the Hills at Riverview site. So ultimately, our site connects to this catch basin on the Hills at Riverview site, and then eventually makes its way through across Route 97. But for a little context, we're not really releasing much stormwater flow from this site. We're less than 1 CFS for a 10-year storm, and that was intentional so we don't impact the Hills at Riverview. Does that answer your question about the basin?
Yeah, how does this particular area hold up in light of the recent rains we had and floods in Norwich? I mean, did water
Well,
flow downhill?
water flows downhill, and I spent a good amount of time up there, and this is a steep site, and you can see signs where water or runoff comes down these steep slopes. There's a few areas where you can see a natural depression where water does collect. It comes down to the north end of North Sea, and basically runs down this driveway right here. And you can kind of see it eroding the embankment. So it comes down pretty good right now. What this plan does is we try to, go ahead, sorry.
Flooding? Was there any issue with flooding in that area then during the last storms?
No, I haven't seen any issues with flooding. We're just trying to collect it and divert it where we want it. So we have a lot of cutoff swales to pick it up so it doesn't come onto our development. It goes around it, and then we pick it up and put it into our system and hold it. So we are holding and infiltrating way more than we're required to. So for a 25-year storm, we're reducing the outflow by half. And like I said, for a 10-year storm, which is about 5 inches or a little under, we're releasing less than 1 CFS, which is not a lot of water. So we're really holding more than we have to on this site intentionally. And that gives us a lot of excess capacity for those bigger storms as well.
Thank you.
Let's see here. General system of utilities, water, sewer, gas, and electric and telecommunications are available to us either at the end of North 3rd Avenue, in North C Street, or on the Hills at Riverview site. So we're picking up water at the end of North 3rd Avenue. We're running a new water main to serve Building A and a new water main to serve Building B. We have sewer coming off in green. Sewer's coming off the hill site and coming up the hill and serving both buildings. Gas will come off North 3rd Avenue and North C Street. And electric, same, we have overhead wires available to us for both North 3rd Avenue and North C Street. So we're able to have short service mains that come onto our site to our transformers and serve each building. NPU has reviewed it. We do have some items to work out through construction, but we do have adequate utilities to serve the development. All right. This is our landscaping and lighting plan that was submitted. I'll start with lighting. In general, we have pole-mounted area lights that parallel the main access drive coming off Route 97. They're spaced at about 60 to 65 feet apart, which is typically enough to give sufficient ground lighting without overlighting in the area. That lighting continues all the way up along the main driveway as well as through our parking areas. And same for Building B, comes parallel with the driveway along our parking areas. A full photometric plan will be submitted to the zoning official as part of this before filing. But in our experience, this spacing typically works with a 15-foot high mounted fixture that will be fully shielded to direct light only where we want it and avoid glare onto adjacent properties. The landscaping, I'll start with the formal landscaping. So our formal landscaping consists of street trees and parking trees. So again, paralleling the main access drive coming off Route 97, we have a mixture of flowering and native shade trees. So these are plums and dogwoods that are native to New England. We also have a mixture of maples to provide shade, and that continues up. And it also around the recreation here, same mix. And the similar pattern for Building B. So we have flowering plums and dogwoods and shade trees around the parking. And we tried to put the shade here to cast some shadows onto the parking area from the south. Other formal landscaping is around our recreation areas. So again, these are flowering trees as well as native border shrubs that will be along a split rail fence. And that'll delineate the space, the community space from the adjacent embankment. And then we have foundation plantings along the front of each building between the building and the parking. And those consist of your typical native foundation plantings, evergreens, and grasses. Those will all be within cedar beds along the building. Screening is provided in unison with our original approval. So along the southeast corner, we have a row of green giant evergreen trees being installed here. If you remember, the other development had buildings and parking down here. We no longer have that, but we kept the screening trees in there. And then we added screening at the end or the east end of North C Street. So along building A, we added a row of screening trees here. For one, to screen building A from North C Street and also to screen the development from the adjacent residential properties. The bulk of this site, we intended to go back to a relatively maintenance-free landscape. So everything you see in this light yellow with the jagged pattern, once site work is done, that will be a low maintenance grass that you have to mow maybe every year, likely every other year, where you want to. And these kind of parallel the slopes that we're creating as part of the development. So most of the site will return back to an unmaintained, and when I say unmaintained, it'll be a longer grass, some native grasses, and some pollinator grasses that will establish themselves and can be mowed once a year to keep the invasive species away. And that continues all the way around the north end of Building B. This area here will remain the way it is, which is regrowth, new growth forest. And then we're also trying to maintain as much existing mature vegetation as we can. So you can see we're maintaining all of the mature trees between North C Street and the Building B area, and then around the perimeter of the development. So that's the approach, which was to try to minimize the area of maintenance and minimize the area where there's mowing and fertilization and all of that. Any questions on the landscape? All right. I think this is the last plan I'll cover before handing it over to Kathy. This is our erosion and sedimentation control plan. I won't go into too many details, but we did establish this plan based on each phase and honoring how we think the work will progress. So phase one, the building areas will be protected during construction with an anticipation that this road won't be constructed right of way. So we want to isolate this area, and access will be off North C Street. Eventually they'll come down and we have erosion controls that'll be established once they start to cut this road in. And same for phase two. Phase two is independently contained within adequate erosion controls. And ultimately we meet the 2002 guidelines for soil erosion and sedimentation control. I think that is it for the site. And if there's no questions right now, I'm happy to hand it over to Kathy to go through the buildings.
Any of the members have any questions? Don't hear any.
All right, we'll go to the building, the fun stuff. Go ahead, Kathy.
Hi Kathy, welcome.
Did we lose her?
I don't know.
Unmute.
She's on.
Kathy, you there?
You're muted.
Kathy, we can't hear you. You're muted, Kathy.
There we go.
Yes.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Sorry
All right.
about that.
Welcome.
Thank you. So my name's Kathy Lacombe. I'm with KML Architects and located in Preston, Connecticut. And as Brandon has so thoroughly gone through, there are two buildings. This floor plan represents the first floor plan of each of the structures. There are 11 units on this floor plan, on this floor plan, as well as the other floors. What happens is there are 4 2-bedrooms that flank, as we're looking at it, the east and west of the building, and that carries up through the other floors, as you will see. All the units have decks. They're about 45 square feet, except for 1 unit in the front, to allow the owners to have some flexibility in price points, to be honest with you. This project has a central hallway that's connected by 2 means of egress that will exit out onto the sidewalk that Brandon delineated before. The 2 bedrooms each have 2 bathrooms. And the 1 bedrooms have obviously 1 bathroom. All the units have washer dryers, and the 1 bedrooms range in about from 668 to 725 square feet, while the 2 bedrooms range from about 1,000 to 1,036 square feet. So next. And so this represents the 2nd and 3rd floor. It's very similar to the 1st floor, except for the fact that the stairs don't exit out the front. So the layouts are pretty much the same, and the features are the same. One of the things that has been very important to Gebby's is to give people a sense of space. And one of the things that we've carried through many of their developments is an open kitchen to the living room, so that even though the units are small, you have a different experience because it's wide open, and that presents itself for flexibility. It also there's a perceived openness and a spatial quality that you don't get when rooms are subdivided. So if you want to switch over to the next one, Brandon. So these are the exterior elevations. And another thing that's very important, this has if everyone's familiar with West Ledge, this has some of the same features. On the front elevation, there's a central gable, and that's where the 1 bedroom unit is that doesn't have a deck. That doesn't have a deck on the 3 levels. And the entries, as you can see, are punctuated by the gables with there's a small vent there just to delineate the entrances and how they are inset from the units. And the back, we call it the back elevation. It's my belief that no building should have a back, that each elevation has its own merit. And so that the back elevation is pleasing to look at, as is the front elevation. The proposed right and left side elevations, we have to account for utilities, and so there's very little fenestration on those elements, on those elevations, because we have to allow for that, be it for gas, electric, or other or water meters. Those are the realities of that we have to deal with in construction. So I guess what I'll leave you with is the next slide, which is the rendering of the building. And you can see that the vernacular is very much New England. We have gables, we have lap siding, we have windows that are that punctuate the elevation at different places that really bring a lot of light into the units. We have obviously decks with balusters and columns, and I think some of the nice things are the different textures that are brought in, from the shingle siding to the lap siding to the board and batten, as well as the panels that are brought into the features of the exterior elevations. So I guess that sums up pretty much my end of it for unless there's any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Kathy?
I have a couple questions really quickly. Kathy, is there elevators in these buildings?
No, there are no. There are 3-story walk-up much like West Ledge.
Okay, and is the handicap accessible units on the first floor?
There are type A and type B units on the first floor. They represent different levels of accessibility. Typically, there's one type A for the 2 bedrooms, one type A for the 1 bedroom, and the balance that will be accessed on the first level are type B units. They represent a level of accessibility, but not the true accessibility that you find in, say, a hotel.
And then the other question is, can you make sure that you submit this colored rendering for our records? Because I don't think we have it. So if we can get that uploaded, so we have that.
Okay.
I did submit that with our package today, Deanna, but I'll put it on the portal as well.
Oh, okay. Dan's saying yes. Okay, thank you. But that's all we have for questions.
Any other members have any questions? Okay, thank you, folks. Anybody else speaking for the applicant, Mr. Gebbie? No. All right, Dan, Deanna.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second here. So if you look through my memo previously, we had a number of comments and questions. I'll just note at the beginning, they've all been addressed. Brandon sent back extensive comments addressing the fire marshal, MPU, zoning, city engineer, and myself.
I had a question about the EV parking or
Oh, yeah, Brandon, if you want to address that.
Sure.
Charter.
We do show 2 dedicated EV parking spaces for each building. So that basically shows the unit that will be installed between 2 spaces. So that'll be 4 total. We understand.
the requirements of the statute.
Yeah, the requirement statutes require 10%, which would be 10 total parking spaces. It's our current experience that at a number of developments that we're not seeing 10%. So it's better to install the infrastructure to allow for expansion than to install it up front. So we think 4 is adequate for the current need, but there will be an ability to install the 3 additional units as required or if required, but we will have the infrastructure in place.
Let's see. We kind of went through that. They did do they had at the suggestion of SHPO at the original approval, they had a site. Can't come up with the word right now. An archaeology study done. There's nothing really there. They don't, the new project won't have any effect on it. I did talk about doing all of the recreational improvements with the first phase, but talking with Brandon, they're gonna be kind of separate construction sites, and they're gonna do the most thing with the first building, so we're okay with that. They're gonna do the second upper level at the second time. So people in the first building will still be able to use the lower sites while the construction's going on in the second phase. The bond, the ENS bond is acceptable by the city engineer for phase 1 and phase 2. I had comments about sidewalks that were addressed in the updated plan here to connect down for kids for the bus or people walking into the village. There are bike racks. We talked about the photometric being submitted.
I didn't see anything about fire hydrants anywhere. Were they shown on the plans?
Yeah, we are proposing 2 new hydrants, one that's in close proximity to the FDC for each utility room. So there'll be 1 hydrant within 50 feet of the building A utility room and 1 hydrant within, I think, 60 feet of the building B utility room.
And are those being fed by the private water on site or?
Yeah, so they will come off of the new 8-inch mains we're installing. And there is one hydrant on North C Street as well. That's off the public main.
Thank you.
I think that's it. I just remind you that I would like the original approval to be expired with this approval tonight. And I'd ask to waive the reading of all these bullet points, but if someone makes a motion for approval to include them in, and I'll provide them to the clerk.
Okay, so, do any members have any other questions at all?
Hi, this is Dean Nason. I have one question. What is the timing between the two phases? Is it continuous or is it phase one and see how it goes?
I don't want to answer for Alex, but I think the intent here is to build the whole site out in sequence. So it's not going to be finish one. It's likely going to be both are under construction at the same time, but I do think you'll see phase one come online sooner than phase two. And that's the reason for the phase line and the compliance in each phase is so that once phase one is done, vegetated, CO'd, it can be occupied and is completely separate from the ongoing construction of the second building.
Okay, thank you.
Said it better. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions? Anything else, Dan or Deanna?
Nope, it was a site development plan, so it was not a public hearing and there was no legal notice required or anything like that.
Right. So, anybody want to make a motion?
Hi, this is Ella. I'll make a motion for a favorable approval.
Subject to the conditions in Dan's memo?
Yes, sorry, yes.
That's okay, nothing to be sorry for. Okay, so we have a motion for approval, subject to the conditions set forth in Dan's memo. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So Ella makes the motion, Dean seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No, so the approval carries.
Can you make a motion now to expire the previous approval, which was site development plan 1044? It should be, for the reason being that a new project has just been approved for that override supersedes this one.
Somebody want to make that motion? To expire the previous approval?
This is Ella. I'll make that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ella, second.
I can second it.
Okay, we got a couple of seconds, so we're good. All in
What
favor?
do you want?
Go for Dean.
Okay, good.
I don't know who was first.
Second was Dean. Okay, go ahead.
So all in favor of this motion to expire the previous approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So that carries also.
Oh, 1044, site development plan 1044.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Everyone. So next business, old business, I see none, extension requests, none. Bond reductions, release requests, none. Other business, election of officers.
Do you want to do that tonight? You do have 3 members that are missing, Jason, Jim, Cordo, and Kathy. Was he good? Do you want to wait till next month?
Yeah, why don't we move that to next month? I'd rather have a full book to do that than,
Do you want to do a motion to table it or?
I don't think we really need to.
Okay, so I'll just say
We'll
table
just move it.
to March 19th, I think it is.
And then the next matter is the Regional Planning Commission volunteer. You said that Jason is willing to do that?
Yeah, so Jason Porter, I spoke with him tonight. He was not able to attend the meeting and asked him if he was interested and he said yes. So I think you have your volunteer.
Okay, so
Okay, so-
Jason is our volunteer to the Regional Planning Commission.
Right.
Just a
Thank you,
note
Jason.
for
Okay.
next month, as this person that staffs wetlands, can we nominate a person from CCP to go to wetlands
For the wetlands
Yeah, we
also?
haven't had someone since.
Cause it was
Mike Leahy
Michael
passed.
Lehan.
Oh, okay.
So you serve on,
Meetings,
they're once a month and you serve on that committee.
yeah, but
too.
what days are they?
It's the first Thursday of the month typically.
First Thursday. Got anybody interested in being on the wetlands, commission? I can't do it, I'm just flat out already, so.
Wanna wait?
I can't, I'm already on a couple of other boards and commissions and still trying to finish my doctoral program, so I am tapped out.
We can wait till next month on that.
Let's
We do.
put that on the calendar for next month, then,
Okay,
when we have more bodies we can talk to.
okay,
We can draw straws.
Yeah.
next month, okay, put that on there for next month.
All right, staff report? Says
Yeah.
none here.
Really quickly, we're working on the, it's due on Friday. The Cape Art Mill Brownfields grant, we had submitted before in around, 17, this is round 19 of DECD's Brownfields grant, and we're resubmitting the same application, but it, obviously, it's not always exactly the same, they changed the forms and we have to tweak it. But, we received a grant, last week unofficially, so we have not received the letter yet, but we have heard that we received, a small grant to help us with do some of the, Brownsville's assessment there, a very small amount. And so we've been encouraged by DECD to apply again for this Brownfields grant for Cape Art. And hoping to be that they think we'll be successful at it this round. So we're resubmitting. It's due on Friday by noon. So Dan and I are all hands on deck with getting this grant done. It's a $4 million ask. And if we get this grant, then the total project is $16 million.
Yep.
To make Cape Art Mill property a community park there along the riverfront, but it's really, the cleanup is the most expensive part there, the demolition and the brownfields cleanup, so it's.
That would be great if it can happen.
Yep, and the neighborhood really wants it, so that's a big focus for us, and I don't know, who was it that told me, was it you or somebody else told me that they went by, no, Dan Coley, the building official, had to go by the Uncas Lee property, and Mel Weiss is working on, they're doing the site work there, and it's really looking, it's starting to look good, it's really taking shape, so the building official said that Mel is really pleased with how it's coming out too, so I haven't been down there recently, but the Uncas Lee project is moving along.
Do we have any idea when that Sherman Street Bridge is gonna be,
I believe the fall should be done.
this fall?
Yeah. And then,
It's kind of right there.
and then on Monday, we have another meeting regarding the downtown mobility study. And that is, coming through for downtown, studying how all the roads and how pedestrian access and bike ped stuff. So it's exciting. There's a lot going on. We're very busy. New community development director started yesterday, so I'm no longer the interim director of that department. So his name is Craig Kleeman.
Craig Cleveland.
Kleeman, yep. So he started yesterday. So
That's good for you.
yeah, thank you. I can get back to doing all of our stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. We
Anything on the executive session?
no, nothing from Mike Driscoll to update with you on at this
All right,
point.
so we don't have to go into
No.
executive session.
No,
Anything else? That's good. So given that, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Dean, anybody seconding?
I'll second.
Is that Ella?
Tracy.
Okay, so we've got a motion by Dean, second by Tracy. Non-debatable, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you all for coming tonight, appreciate it.